Okay, it finally happened. We finally had our first game of the year. We finally had some results and some less than
Oof.
optimal results for sure.
Results is a good way to put it.
Yeah. So tonight we're just gonna kind of walk out the don't hit the panic button. That's what we'll start off with tonight. Talk about a couple of experiences of folks that take weeks 1 through 3 way too seriously and just try to take it down a notch and just realize that some things happen like this. And then we're going to go into a little bit about the game and what we saw and how it pertains to you guys and how it may be helpful or not helpful to your roster to have a bias on some things. And then we'll finish up with Ray has some comments about some things he's been seeing on the internets these days. So without anything else, Brian, we're going to start with you, man. What do you think? Are we hitting panic buttons, and why and why not, and what's the plan?
Currently, I know personally, I definitely want to panic right off the rip, just because I don't want to fall deep into a hole where I can't climb out of.
Who'd you have playing last night?
Don't you want to know for the audience? I had the old Matthew Stafford. I didn't expect a blowout game. I didn't expect really big points, which is okay. I wouldn't expect that from a lot of quarterbacks. However, a little bit true. I don't know. Buffalo's got something cooking on, so everybody, Buffalo's got something good going on. So I think they're going to be a really good team this year. But Matthew Stafford, the only thing he seemed to be able to do is throw the cup and throw interceptions, apparently.
So let me ask you this as a Stafford guy, right? Is this one of those games where like, hey man, take a seat on the bench and I'll play the second string for a week or two to get my confidence and you back up? Or are you just going to ride? I mean, I would ride with him, but what's your plan?
Let's pull this up here. He goes week 2, Atlanta.
Oh, I'm taking that.
I think that's 100% definitely for sure with the high-powered offense they allegedly have.
They do.
I don't know. They don't have a run game. That's another topic.
Don't. We'll get there. Don't.
But I think that's something you don't really need to panic on.
Okay.
Because quarterbacks have ups and downs. If you go back and look at what they've done in the past, you're going to have those 1-2 games where it just doesn't work out. I didn't expect it to be like that. I thought it was definitely be a lot closer, kind of a shootout up until probably to the fourth quarter. But Buffalo just took away from that.
Yep.
So
no, don't hit it. You're not hitting.
No panic. No panic with Matthew Stafford.
And you're rolling him right back out.
Yeah, I think first game jitters kind of thing. Got to loosen up. But Atlanta, Arizona, San Francisco, Dallas, Carolina. Yeah, I think the rest of the season. I mean, they play Green Bay.
It's a brutal game to start on. It's a brutal team to open the season with.
It really. I mean, for the fans, it's a beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Game. It's awesome for football.
But good lord.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't panic. I'm not panicking. But definitely keep your eye open. Because if it does continue, however, that's a different story. That's something you should definitely look into.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So I have a question for you, Brian.
Yes.
You're the one that has Stafford in our main Army League.
Right.
Brock's talking about he could read Matthew Stafford's lips, and he said that he claims that he saw Matthew Stafford say his elbow was hurting and he couldn't throw the damn ball. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not even going to waste my time looking into that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen a tweet. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen a report saying his elbow was a big factor. I think that's just him just trying to get underneath skin. For everybody else, I don't think that's something we should worry about. Unless it comes from the team, then that's something we should just look at.
Sure. Yeah, so, I mean, with that in mind, it's possible that Coop is just that good that he can just get open to where Stafford can throw to him, even when he's having a rough time throwing.
Beautiful game.
Maybe. I don't know. So it's either that or it's or he. So if his elbow is actually as injured as people might think, and it's being kind of hidden by the fact that Cooper Kupp is so good at getting open that he was able to softly lob it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Would you if you had Stafford, Ray, would you hit panic?
as my main QB.
Yeah.
Panic. No, because he's not going to get sacked 7 times every fucking game.
No.
7 almost every league. Leagues have their own rules, but a sack is -1 point, right? In most leagues. 7 sacks means he should have been at 17. I was projecting him at 20, so he would have been just shy. He should have been just shy, or he would have been just shy of what I projected if he wasn't getting hit all the time. Yeah. So take
Even
away 3 of those sacks. Yeah, take away 3 of those sacks. He's at 13. Add 3 receptions that he would have got if he hadn't gotten sacked. He's at 16, which is realistic that he could have gotten a reception out of those plays.
For sure.
So he's 4 points shy of 20. It's like, yeah, he had 16 points on a bad game. That's not it's not like implausible, you know. I can see how I watched the fucking game. Like, I know why it happened.
Yeah.
So I think that for you to, if you were going to panic about Stafford, you would have to not understand why what happened. You should be able to look at the game and be like, all right, this is why Stafford had the game that he did. Look at next week. Look at week 3. Is he going to have that problem with those 2 teams? Probably not.
Probably not.
I would probably keep him started. It depends on who I have in my backup, right? I don't have him. I don't even think I have a backup QB right now.
I currently don't.
I just picked one up. But
lots of these teams is real good. That definitely was true too.
Okay. All right. So
I would say, to put a fine point on it, no, you should not be panicking right now. That is an uncharacteristic game against the best defense in the league. So I want to roll over to your side of the house, Ray. I actually had a very specific lineup for your stuff. Sure.
Allen Robinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's on your bench right now for this year. It's probably the best call for. But here's why. Before you go into what you would do, here's why I would say not panicking at all. Because if the Rams want to win a fucking football game, they'll find a way to get him the ball. Or they could continue to throw it to Kupp, half-ass run game, and lose every single game.
I agree.
To me, Robinson's absolutely don't even think about it for a split second. If the Rams want to win, they'll find a way. Well, that's my take on that one.
He didn't drop passes. I mean, he had incompletions, but that's not – it wasn't low-level play that stopped him from being utilized last night. They weren't calling the plays that
set him up
around him. They're clearly built around Kupp. And they, he you texted me this morning about Benford covering Robinson, and I was like, well, he was in double coverage. I'm a Bills fan. I'm not gonna boost up players, without putting, a bit of a caveat on it. Robinson was in double coverage. Now, it wasn't total double coverage, but Stafford should have known better to throw to Robinson where he was at. He got mogged on by 2 dudes. That's not Robinson's
That's
fault.
that corner end zone shot, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stafford should have known not to throw to him, and there was plenty of times where Robinson was a safer throw, but he threw to Kupp because it's Kupp. Higbee's a tight end, so he gets away with drops a little bit more than you would Robinson, but it's like some of those plays, Higbee was by himself, and he's going to drop. So it's like, if you're patient with Higbee, you should be more than patient with Robinson. Let him actually play a game before you're concerned with that. I'm not concerned about Robinson at all, at least not yet, because I'm going to have to actually watch him play a game before I think about, unless they trend set and are like, we're not going to use this guy, and we just paid him all this money for no reason. In which case, that's not the player. That it has nothing to do with the player. That's an organizational thing, and that's something to keep track of. But unfortunately,
Brian, I'll walk all over it. It's fine. That's Brian's have some audio issues.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So in particular, I know that the corner end zone shot. The more thing I want to highlight is that it's such a heads up play. Like, I know it's double coverage, but you'll find that the biggest anxiety for defenses are the rookies, because they're usually not in that position to be in that double coverage to make it a more difficult throw, because they're learning, right? But I think a guy that's that intuitive, I think you're looking at a player that's like really probably one of the best steals of the draft, and it looks fit. I can't get over it because I love defense, and I love watching electric
Possibly.
players.
I don't know enough about Benford to give that opinion. I didn't think the play was that sexy. I'm glad it happened, but it seemed more of like I counted it more towards the double coverage and a bad throw. But
what I would offer is more like his position as like a super fast, smaller linebacker as opposed to a safety that's great for pass plays. Benford can drop a hammer, and that's something that Holland in Miami has. That's what makes him so crucial. And I now know precisely why he beat out Elam by watching that stuff. But in particular, there was a play last night that drove me bonkers, and I'll get to Akers in a minute. But there was a play action boot, and it was a play specifically for Robinson. And Robinson's coming over wide open, 20 yards downfield, wide open, covered. What are you doing?
You got the 10, but he immediately got hit.
Yeah,
Robinson
could
have gone for 20.
And not only that, but he was behind the safety. Like, it could have been huge.
A touchdown, yeah.
And it to me, it just demonstrates that's that lack of confidence and that lack of play with one another to trust them to do that stuff and just be like, he's got this, yeet, right? You saw him hesitate. You saw him pump the ball when the play was designed for Robinson. And actually, your favorite announcer ever, Ray, Chris Collinsworth, was on the same page as me. He was like, this is a busted play. This is a play that did not go.
It was evident.
So to me, like when you see that, like I've seen Robinson when he had a decent quarterback in Chicago, which is a bold term 3 years ago. So just a quarterback that just didn't die when he went out there, and Robinson was fantastic. So I know he has it. It's just one of those things where it's like, I think a lot of the parts of that offense that just absolutely fucking shattered last night, right? But,
they were not organized.
No, I think they're gonna come around next game, 2 games from now. They need a little bit more time to develop in game rather than practice. Because I remember watching the same play. I was like, especially with the replay, I was like, that would have been easy.
I could throw that ball.
Yeah.
What? So for me on my end, when I talk about panic button stuff, I don't want to really get into the minutia of like, if you watch football for a while, you know, the costliest thing in the NFL is winning a Super Bowl. And that was on display last night, big time, from Von Miller being on the other side of the field to linemen retired and then other places, and your offensive coordinator's gone because he's now the head coach of wherever. I'm not going to really get into that. The thing that I would say is, and this is, I'm not angry. It sounds angry, but I'm not angry.
I'd be heated.
My point with Akers is the same point I made with Robinson. If you want to win, you will find a way to get him the ball, because clearly what you did last night did not work. Clearly.
3 possessions is criminal.
That blows my mind.
Insane, right? On a pass catching back. Right. So don't get me wrong, Henderson's fine. I've had him in a couple of leagues before. I know he's perfectly fine doing the job. Yeah. But the reason you draft a guy like that and the reason you bring him in is because you go from fine to great. We want a great running back, right? And so I could go on and on about like throwing up a goose egg. And actually, just as a side note in this league, I actually now truly, truly appreciate the value of that second flex, because it really is like if a tight end got injured and didn't play the rest of the game. And it really is like, okay, the weekend's not totally shot at all. There's a lot of things to go. Whereas if you throw up a goose egg on a running back and on a 2 running back system, good luck. I mean, you're going to need like a Camaro Christmas Day to win. You know what I mean? Like, so I've actually really starting to appreciate it right now. But anyway, I'm not going to go on and on. Everyone with eyeballs knows that Akers flopped hard.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if you would say the Rams flopped hard.
It was the Rams.
It was the Rams.
Akers did not.
Yeah.
Design was the flaw. Yep. I want to reiterate: 3 fucking carries for your number 1 running back.
3 carries. Yeah.
What? So you weren't playing? You were not running plays with them objectively. You cannot tell me the fucking James Cook ran 1/3 of the carries that the Rams starting running back did. That's absolute utter garbage. You did that. Yeah. He didn't do that. That fucking whoever their OC is, McVay, did that.
Yeah,
garbage.
And then the other part too that gets frustrating is people are like, oh well, he had the rushes. There was one play. Who was it? Is your fucking all-star linebacker came on a blitz and literally was on Akers before Stafford even gave him the ball. And it's like, that is a failure as a team. That is not. Well, Akers didn't make. There's nothing to make.
No.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
to
what?
make
He's
there.
not even.
You
He's
gotta-
still in the backfield.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta
You're
step
giving
up
him the
and
ball
block.
10
It's-
yards behind the line of scrimmage and wondering why he's getting a loss.
and then on top of that, for one of the dudes last night that it not came out of nowhere in the sense that I just didn't know about him, but your defensive tackle, what a fucking terror! Just pushing the line. Like there's no other way to say it. 2 sacks from your defensive tackles is insane, right? But it's the penetration, it's the domination of the trench that made it like there's no fucking way LA could win. There's no way.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I texted you
They
guys
won,
earlier.
they won in the
that we
trenches,
didn't-
offenses
we
and
didn't-
defense.
We didn't blitz one time and
Yeah.
still got 7 sacks. That's insane.
You had a
That's
3-man rush get to him twice. If
Yeah.
a 3-man rush gets to you, dog, you suck.
That's a problem. That
You
is an
suck.
issue.
There's a hole.
All right.
Yeah, there's a gap.
Huge issue.
Something is not being addressed, right? So I just want to go back to like, yes, Akers spent some time
I thought
on my
it was
bench
Oliver, and it was Ed Oliver. I believe is the player you're talking
on the
about.
blitz,
Which Ed,
or not
I-
the blitz, but the rush around the edge.
Yeah.
So Ed Oliver is known. I mean, he's known to be. He's a known
Yeah,
defensive player. But
he's a run stopper big time. That's what his whole thing is, right? But again, I'm going to reiterate, and then this is something that Ray and I have talked about before, and we're going to talk about it many times after this. Yes, Akers spends some time on my bench. Yes,
Yeah.
they're going to sort it out. Would I drop him? Absolutely fucking not.
not yet.
Right?
No.
Yeah, if it's like week 4 and it's the same situation, he has no value. That running back has no value.
Right, you're going to by week 3, you will know whether or not the Rams organizationally are suffering as much as they did last night.
Yeah.
And if he does start getting, and if he gets the snaps that he should be, which is more than fucking 3, if you're not tracking,
Yeah.
then maybe the organizational issues might improve
Be
and
too
he
much.
might maintain.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
well, I'm saying the organization might improve.
Oh.
They might wisen up, tighten up their shit. He might still be a problem. I'm not saying it can't be Akers. I'm saying right now I don't think it is. I think it's a
I
Rams.
can't.
It's-
Yeah.
I think it's an organization situation. And definitely
And
bench until
almost-
something
yeah, 'cause-
happens.
It almost seems like
Yes.
they panicked and they just kept putting Henderson in because he was succeeding.
Yeah.
Less than 50 yards though. Singletary
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
almost
I
as
was
much, if not more. No touchdown.
Actually,
that's
I can't believe
that's
I'm gonna
not
say
a
this.
great running back.
But Singletary looked really good. There's
He did.
The,
Yeah.
the burst
From last
off the
season to this
catches.
season.
Sure.
Yeah, it was
Singletary
a
looked
short
pretty
catch turned into instant 10. Turned into a 10 on speed very quickly. There's a lot of things that I like about it. I know
better.
Buffalo. That's a better way. He looked a lot better.
Better.
I'll say
Yeah,
that.
because he's
For
still
sure. Agree.
he's still a 10-point running back.
Yes,
I don't want anyone to
Without
watch
a
that game.
touchdown.
The
Yes,
same with Henderson because
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people right now that are like, "I'm going to pick up Henderson." Slow your roll, bro.
Relax.
8 points.
Slow
Like-
down.
yeah.
You're,
Ain't
you're
gonna
gonna
happen.
unless you have no one to start in your RB1 and 2. That means you're going to be putting him in flex. There's better flexes. I can almost
Yes,
guarantee it. Especially
Guarantee
if your league. 8 points is what tight ends get.
maybe Julio
know-
Jones.
Yeah, not Julio Jones. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, it's nothing. Nothing. I'm not talking about anything.
We'll have a conversation next week.
We'll talk in a minute. Okay, so that's really I think that's just again. I will say it a billion times. Calm down. Relax,
Take a breath.
Take a breath. All right, and to add to this too, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan, and I had a lot of support in the offseason. I don't think you're going to get that production out of Gabe Davis weekly. I don't. I think
that's
that
fair.
breakaway touchdown was a great play, and the targeting was fine. I think when it comes down to it, you're looking more at maybe a 12 to 15 point on a good
that's
game.
fair.
You add a
Yeah.
touchdown, it becomes a 20 point, which is what it was, right?
Yeah.
So
18. Yeah.
but the breakaway 30-yard touchdown is not super common, right? So the add-on of the 30 yards and a
Right.
reception and a touchdown, usually Davis is going to get you your red zone grabs, right? And him and Diggs will, right? But
So
that breakaway was good. It was a good play.
you're talking about the first touchdown of the game.
Yeah, where Allen flicked it over and Davis was already behind the line.
So, couple things. I agree with you, and then in another way, I disagree with you. So, yes, Buffalo's not going to be playing the Rams every week, which means
They're not.
Gabe is not going to be lined up against shitty fucking
Whoever.
corners like Jalen Ramsey every week. You know, he's
Yeah,
not going
he's
to just
getting
be left
trashed
completely
online, by the
open.
way.
Yeah.
Hosts.
Dude, he's getting crushed.
So that's not going to happen every week. Eventually, they're going to have good corners, you know, that he's going to have to throw better to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those walk-in touchdowns aren't always going to happen. However, so there's that. I agree with you there. They are going to play teams that have better corners. But they also are going to have teams that have, you know, worse coverage elsewhere.
That's fair.
I think that Gabe Davis can eat all year long because I think, in my opinion, he's a clear WR2. He got plenty – nobody –
I'll agree to that.
I'm used to Buffalo being this way with fantasy. One receiver eats, and then everyone else that week suffers. Sometimes it's Dawson Knox. Most of the time it's Singletary or Stephon Diggs. Occasionally it was whoever was in WR2. It was never Emmanuel Sanders. I can tell you that last year.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis's fantasy value skyrocketed when Emmanuel Sanders dipped out,
Yes.
but WR2 typically was not the one mostly eating. But however, last night against the Rams played like shit last night, but against, you know, the Super Bowl team, Stephon Diggs had a 26-point game. Gabe Davis had an 18-point game. If you had both those dudes as receivers, you had a good fucking weekend.
They
I
did.
think that is repeatable. They did not have a 40-point game, which it's not rare for Buffalo to have 40-point games. You know,
let me ask
usually
you,
one of
though,
those touchdowns is Josh Allen's, though, because he
Yes.
runs it in.
That's true.
that run
yes.
was huge, right?
Which
That's
he
a big
did. That was a
value.
good effort by him.
You're not even slightly turned off by, like, McKenzie did fine. Crowder
McKenzie
did fine.
No, I don't agree with you.
Okay.
McKenzie is not fine. I've never
Okay.
liked. I don't want to say that. I don't want
Really?
to say I never liked McKenzie. I've never bought the hype on McKenzie. I heard all offseason about how he's coming into his. He's not. Isaiah McKenzie's been with this team for a while. He's been in the
Hold
league
on.
a lot longer
Hold on.
than Gabe Davis.
What I'll say
the
is,
numbers are already looking bad for Isaiah. Also,
Well-
Isaiah McKenzie plays in the slot. Gabe Davis plays on the outside. They're
No, I
not
know.
competing for WR2.
but empirically, the number of targets it's pulled, right? So what I'm getting at is, well,
Somewhat.
one, Dawson Knox didn't have anything going on.
Dawson
last
Knox
night.
was
He didn't
used
have
to block for Singletary. I
Yeah,
was
he
going to
didn't
get
have
to
to.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
But
won't.
what? No, he won't. But so just real quick though, like a quick recap. You've got Diggs, Davis, Crowder, McKenzie.
Those are your starters.
there's-
With not
Yeah, those are your
McKenzie.
stars.
Crowder is going to start in the slot, and if he doesn't, I don't care. Did you watch the
McKenzie's on
same
top
game
of
as I did?
Crowder, though.
Okay, he's on paper he is above McKenzie.
Okay.
I'm saying factually, in reality, based off of performance, Crowder is your slot receiver. And
Well, I like Crowder to begin
you should be being like, it's about fucking time, Ray, because I doubted the fuck out of Crowder, but he looked clean
No, he's a good receiver,
last
man.
night.
He's a good receiver.
He completely replaced Beasley last night.
Yes.
He did
Yes,
everything
yes.
that Beasley would have done in that game.
The only
10-yard
issue-
darts that he was getting.
The only issue I had with Crowder was the throw that ended up being intercepted. I understand it was
Isaiah.
slightly behind.
Oh,
Nope.
that one. Okay.
But-
Yeah.
But Crowder needs to compete for that ball a little bit more for me.
Yeah. You
At
need
the
to
very
fight
least,
for it.
man, knock it down. Like, go grab that ball. Stop waiting for it to get to you. But that frustrated me a little bit because it wasn't a terrible throw by Allen. It wasn't great, but like there was a lot the receiver could have done to help there.
Yeah.
What I will say too, though, like I know you don't buy the McKenzie hype. If that grab that turned into a pick doesn't happen and he falls down with a reception for 3 yards, it's almost a 15-point game for him, for McKenzie.
Yeah,
because he has
but
touchdown.
he bobbled it and did.
No, he did. No, I know.
It is.
What I'm getting
You're
at
right.
is
And
like,
early.
that
it was
won't happen
early in
every
the game
time.
too.
Yeah.
That won't happen every
Ooh.
time.
It will.
That
I'm not
was
saying it's going to happen
wild.
exactly like that every time, but Isaiah McKenzie is prone to bad
Like,
play.
I just think it's encouraging that he still wound up with a touchdown. That the team was still like, "Hey,
That's fair.
keep sending it back out there, give him a
So,
couple targets."
You guys,
know what I
you guys
mean?
are tracking that he did a gender reveal for his
Yes,
sister
I
after the
saw that
touchdown?
on ESPN.
Yeah.
I didn't
Do
know
you
that.
think it's possible that Isaiah McKenzie had the ball forced to him?
What was that? I didn't catch what's going on. What's going on?
So Isaiah McKenzie got the touchdown, right? And then he turns to the camera, he pulls out his mouth guard, and he says, "It's a boy." He did a gender reveal for his sister on Prime
Oh,
TV, which
that's
is dope. I love that. That's
cool.
amazing.
I
cool
love
as hell.
Do
that.
you think maybe, just
No.
maybe, Isaiah McKenzie had the ball forced to him? You think Allen was like, "All right, I'm in the red zone," and I know that Isaiah asked for that. Isaiah was not chancing that he was going to be favored. Who's
I can
favored in
buy-
the end zone?
I can buy into that.
Gabe, Stephon,
Diggs
and
and Gabe.
Dawson Knox. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. I can buy into that.
Most likely that touchdown
Maybe.
was from a forced pass. Now, because Buffalo was playing the way they were playing, there was low risk. With
Yeah,
him
there
playing.
wasn't.
Isaiah has good games, and he's a middling receiver in my
Also,
opinion.
it was in double coverage, and it just happened to work out. I just want to point that out too. Like,
Yeah.
it was definitely forced because it was like, dude, what do you? Oh, I mean, you got it, but like,
Oh, yeah,
don't do
touchdown.
that
Cool.
again.
All right.
Okay, I just wanted to
That
ask you
happens
to see
sometimes.
and I'm going to ask you this all year long because as it goes down, like I don't get me wrong, I am a massive Crowder fan. If he can take that role from McKenzie, and I don't think it's done yet, I don't because he wasn't in enough plays for me to be like, I'm grabbing him.
Oh well, just because you wouldn't play him in fantasy doesn't mean he's got the job in real life. Slot
Well, that's
receivers
true.
are
That's
often
very true.
not WR1 and 2s.
That's very
they're,
true.
They're
So they
flexes.
rotate a
Yeah.
lot.
And guess what? The best flexes in fantasy are often WR2s because
Yeah.
of the plethora of receivers.
Yeah.
So slot receivers have to be really good. Godwin. Have to be really good. Cooper Kupp, I think he plays in the slot.
Yeah,
but
he's a
most of his
slot.
catches are
I think he
outside the slot.
Yep.
flip flops. Yeah.
So he doesn't really count anyway because he plays outside the slot like 90% of the time. But Godwin is a good example of someone who plays in the slot and does phenomenal. Slot receivers
St.
have to play
Brown.
really well to be.
Amon
yeah,
St. Brown
sure.
does
But
that.
the issue with St. Brown is the rest of his team.
Yeah, no, for sure.
He's the best offensive
That's fair.
receiver on that
Player
team.
there.
So obviously,
Yeah.
even in the slot, he's going to get the most targets.
Yeah.
So slot receivers typically are going to be lower, which is why they're not getting picked up. Isaiah McKenzie is typically never relevant. One, because he was always behind Cole Beasley, but Cole Beasley was the starting slot receiver all the time.
Yeah.
He had plenty
Yeah, he was.
he had plenty of snap time last season.
lived
He
in
was
the
not
slot.
fantasy relevant last
No, he wasn't.
season because Emmanuel Sanders and Gabe Davis in WR2 and Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox was having his best year with Buffalo. Like Beasley was not being used like that. Slot rarely is used like that. They don't get a lot of touchdowns either. So they don't go for big yards because
Yeah,
their
that's
their
true.
routes are shorter. You know, they're not getting behind the secondaries. They're in between the
It's more of a
secondaries and the
safety
line.
valve, I do believe.
Yep.
So,
So
Yeah.
okay. No, I
it's
just
about getting
wanted
the first
to pick your
down.
brain
So
on that.
they'll take,
Yeah.
and this is why I like Crowder. I watched him like almost 3 fucking consecutive passes get 10 yards. Like
Yep.
Josh found him every time,
Yeah.
and he just made
Go to
the
the
play.
sticks. Go to the
Yeah.
sticks. That's
He
all I
just
need.
got it. So
Yeah.
I like the potential. He looks
Yes.
good.
for sure,
I just
all
wanted
I'm
to
saying
pick
is
your brain, and I'll ask
maybe
a bunch this year.
maybe what it is for me, Jim, is this was where's my camera? I can't get in fucking frame.
You're good.
Shit feels weird. I gotta lean back. So this was how this is where I thought Crowder was, and this is where he is. So I think maybe that gap, of my doubt, is making him a little bit more special to me, possibly.
No, look. Okay, I'm telling you now. Even in New York with terrible quarterbacks, Crowder was startable. He was a receiver
Yeah.
too. He had an injury, I think, last year or a year or two ago. Anyway, when he was out there, you could start him. You could,
Mhm.
and he would do well. There were some games he'd have 2-3 touchdowns. Now
Yeah.
he'd only get like 7 targets, right? So that was the risk. It's in a very bad offense, but with a good quarterback, hey man, look, Crowder could easily take slot or number 2. I know Davis is doing great. Like Crowder is very talented, and people don't realize that, but he's in a great system. So what I want to do now is we've gone over the panic stuff, and we've gone over how the game a little bit went. What are you guys seeing? You know, not just in our league, but in other leagues. That is like, hey, don't do that. I know, Ray, you were talking about some things that you've been seeing on TikTok, and then there's some things that I've already been seeing in some other leagues of mine, including the one we're in here, where the first game happened, and sometimes it doesn't really matter who they're doing it with, but like the dudes that have been dormant all off season, first game happens, they make 3 things happen, 3 transactions off the rip. Yeah, go for it. It's your team. It's just those players weren't even in the
Why?
game last night,
Yeah.
and you're going off of like literally the smallest time frame possible to analyze a player is week 1, game 1, and you're like, yeah, no, fuck it, he's out. You know.
We're about to have a good conversation here.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez. Okay, well then, go ahead, Brian. I'm all ears.
All right, Ray. Since this is going to be from you, 2 from me. Basically, Santa Claus. Yeah, don't worry.
It's a layup.
Actually, here, I'll tell you what. I'll pull up the transaction because I just did it.
Oh, you're sending me a fucking trade?
No.
It's something you picked up.
So
Oh, okay.
I went into the free agency, took a peek. I understand it's early. It's not really what you're really looking for to do big movements. However, in our league currently, I drafted Madison
Say it with
RB2
your chest,
from.
Brian. It's a good move.
I'm working on it from Minnesota because
Right.
he's as
Just
soon as
Cook.
I drafted him. I was like, hey, Cook gets hurt, boom, he's in and he will produce. However, I went in, I picked up the old Julio Jones for us. I knew
Now-
you don't like it.
Now, before let's
Oh,
set him up for the drive, right, Brian?
we don't know. Madison's literally sitting on my bench, lowest score. I think he's predicted like 4 points. The only reason why I have him is because I'm waiting
Of the
for
handcuff.
Cook to get. Yeah, he's literally
Because
just
of the
a handcuff
handcuff, that's
sitting there. I think with Jones down there now at Tampa Bay, a lot better quarterback, and I think he's gonna have a little bit better opportunity
I'm gonna add stuff to Brian's thing before you get a
with
chance, right?
him in Tampa Bay rather than he was with the Falcons just last season.
No, Tennessee.
I'm sorry, it was Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might as well say the last
Might
team
as
was
well.
the Falcons.
Okay.
He didn't do
Yeah.
anything in Tennessee.
So here's
Well,
what I was gonna
yeah.
add to Brian's stuff. Oh, Brian, you go ahead.
No,
Say that
so,
one?
it benefits my team now. I'm buying into a little bit of a hype, a little bit of into his name, but I think what's going to happen is because it's Godwin's a little banged up still. I expect him to step up into a little bit more of a role. He's currently just sitting on my bench just to feel him out. This is where that 3-week kind of thing
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
100%.
He's going to kind of sit there, see if he improves because this whole last week, I understand it's the first week, he's just been kind of going up the list, production.
Yeah.
He's healthy. He's looking pretty good in practices. So he's just there kind of a placeholder for need. And plus, if he gets really good,
He's on your
maybe
bench.
he's currently
Yeah,
just
he's
on
on
the
the
bench. Yeah.
So to add to Brian's point too, here's the other thing. This is what I was trying to tell you, Ray. Like, the reports and everything, Godwin is behind schedule.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is it's not going to be just this week. It'll be like 3 games that he doesn't play.
Okay.
It's
He's gonna play.
not done. Even if he does, here's my other part, right?
Yeah.
How many times now have we seen Mike Evans miss time during the season?
That's true, too.
Every year.
He's missed time.
Every year, right? So if I have Godwin, I understand initially the appeal is that, well, if Godwin's out, he'll play better. That's not just what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is like, the way that Tampa set up their tight end situation, I think my bet is Brady will find Julio like he found Gronk.
No.
I do.
No.
That's the bet. And that's
I can buy
the
that.
way it looks. Okay,
No.
right, your turn.
What?
Proceed.
All right, I'm not talking to you two idiots. I'm talking to anybody that watches this fucking show. Do not pick up Julio Jones. It's fucking retarded.
So if you have
Look
just
at me. Look at your phone
This is a
and swipe past him. It's a mistake. Now I'm looking at you two idiots. What the
That's
fuck
right.
are you talking about? Julio Jones is the next fucking Gronk. What the actual fuck are you talking about?
I'm not saying he's going to have the productivity of Gronk.
Do
However,
He's not, obviously. That's silly.
I think what's going to happen is he's going to get enough looks in time. I think there's going to be a little
Yep.
bit of chemistry. He's experienced for sure. I think he's going to build. Really, he's kind of sitting there as a little extra
He
piece.
should be out of the league.
That's it. Well,
He
he's
should
not.
fucking
He's not,
retire.
'cause he's still doing his baller shit.
That's right.
Emmanuel Sanders is twice the receiver that Julio Jones ever was.
Wow. Okay.
And he did not
Well-
perform. How many Super Bowls does Julio Jones have?
None.
Oh,
But
no,
well, I think he
well.
may. Is he? No, I don't.
Mm.
Listen, man.
He's
Granted,
good.
he
Fantasy
didn't,
history-
he didn't have Peyton Manning throw him the ball. He had
No.
that fucking shithole Matt Ryan. I understand.
Yeah.
But when he was in
but-
was in Atlanta and he was relevant, was with Matt Ryan, and he has never produced anything like that with Ryan Tannehill,
No,
who, in
but
my
what
opinion, is far better than Matt Ryan.
I disagree strongly with that. I don't because I don't
You
give a
tell
shit for Tannehill. I don't give a shit for that dude. That dude's been masquerading as a starting quarterback for 8 years now.
Listen, you can hate him, but they didn't have Derrick Henry for over half the season and still made the playoffs. Granted, they did still have a strong running back in.
They did.
It's not like Foreman was dog shit. He's not.
no,
He's not Singletary. He's not only getting a couple yards here and there. He was dominant. He's not Derrick Henry dominant, but he was dominant. So there was still support there in the backfield, but he still got them to the playoffs
And A.J. Brown did well.
Beat to shit. I mean,
Yes.
he did. He stepped up. A beat to shit.
Did
A.J.
well.
Brown and Ryan Tannehill, they played well. I will show no love for Matt Ryan. I've never liked him. And also, he blew a 23-point lead to the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's
never
fair.
happened.
That is.
No love for me. I mean, Russell Wilson is still on my shit list. You had fucking Marshawn Lynch right
on
there.
the like, what,
Now-
half
now,
hour
Hand
okay.
line?
the fucking ball off.
Now, the context, too, though, is still, I think, is still important. I think, look, man, you're talking about adding Julio, who's now, like, up the ladder, like, second or third on that roster, projected, like, 10 points. He's letting go of Madison, who will only have value if Cook is out.
If Cook hurts,
That's
yeah.
it, right? Like, there's no other purpose. So I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's
But
worth
were they
like,
both going to be on your bench?
Yeah, both of them.
Yes.
are
When
on
Madison
that
is,
bench.
because when Madison is in, he's going to feast.
He's going to
Whereas
do well.
Julio Jones is by no means
We're going to see.
a guaranteed start.
So that's from
We're not
that's
going to.
from looking.
He will never
Brady's a
be. He
massive
will
upgrade
never.
from both quarterbacks.
But if Cook gets hurt and I
Well,
can pick
of course,
Madison
but-
back up off the waiver,
Yeah, that's
I
going to be
could-
tough.
That is tough.
When Cook goes
But
out, everyone's
I-
going for Madison.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have a little bit better luck, and I think I'm better snagging Julio now.
That's in our league. You drop Madison in our league.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Say
go
goodbye
ahead,
to
go
him.
get
I'll probably pick him
Go
up.
get him.
I'll be
No, you
completely
won't.
honest.
You
I
Yeah,
probably
right.
will.
You know why you won't? I'll tell you why you won't, Ray. Look, I was meaning to talk to you about this, and this is one of those things where, like, there's two bets of yours now that have done very well. Rashad Penny, very well.
Sure.
Second one, offensive coordinator for the New York Jets came out today, and he was like, Michael Carter is the heartbeat and soul of my offense.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Okay. I've heard that before.
Reese, go ahead, take a seat. And you saw his point value and value skyrocket. He's over like 15 projected points now for Michael Carter.
Carter is.
And it, because, one, him and Flacco actually did really well together from a fantasy point of view. When I talk about actually winning fucking ball games. Talk about
Yeah, of course. Of course.
but the dump offs and the handoffs that favor Carter because he's sturdier than most people give him credit for. He's not a tiny back. He's a good, well-rounded running back. But that's another one where I bring it up to highlight for the folks at home that be confident in the research in your draft and stick to your draft stuff. Because now Ray has 3 starting running backs on his bench. Right? So, like, when Kenneth Walker's healthy, he'll do better, and Penny may have a little bit of value change, but maybe he won't. Maybe Kenneth's not ready all year. It's a rookie. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
But what you do know is Michael Carter's already been in this. Michael Carter knows how to play ball. He had a 30-point game against Indy's defense last year, which was all-star defense, right? There's a lot to like, and it's a very average, actually not average, it's a very poor offensive team for the Jets, and he's still being able to produce, right? Stick to your guns and don't panic. Even though, like, let's say for some reason I had Carter and, I still played Akers, right? I'm not trading or dropping Akers because I have Carter and now he's projected to do well. Because Ray also knows something that we know with that experience. It could be total fucking nonsense. His value
it is.
Well, maybe. I like Carter. I've always liked Carter. But
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Akers bottoming out. Like,
yes.
first of all,
yes.
I mean, we also didn't address how like unrealistic that is for a starting running back to get 0 points.
Just
0
That's-
points.
That never happened.
Never seen it.
This
You
is a
have to
fucking
try.
golden. Yeah, this
Unless-
is like
unless
a
you got hurt.
unicorn.
Never seen.
It's like seeing a quarterback go negative. It doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't happen.
Not unless
It's
you're Cam Newton.
a lot
That
of.
happens.
I
Fucking
said starting
Cam.
quarterback. All right. Don't
Well, that's
fucking
true.
muddle
Actually,
my
I lose
words.
there. That's a good point. Yeah. So again, right? Like there's, and now that you look at a lot of, and this is what. Okay, Brian. I'm just gonna bring it up super quick because I know we're mulling it over. All right. So Labie called me. He just got back from his job.
Oh yeah, that's a good conversation.
He cut Kittle and picked up Ingram.
Kittle's available.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, he's injured.
I'm
Now-
gonna grab him. I don't care.
I mean, I put in a waiver too. I have to try. I don't, and I think I'm first in the waiver because people made a bunch of moves. But the here's the thing.
oh
and
boy,
Labie's point is not invalid, and I think
It's-
Ray
yeah, it's
actually
pretty solid.
especially can relate to this. He said it. He straight up said, "He said, Jim, how many games did he play for you last year?" I was like, "Damn, like 6 or 7. I don't fucking know." And he's like, "My point." And then he said, "Look at my roster, dude." And I was like, "Fuck."
yeah,
He's
Wow.
got a point. He can afford to take a lot more risks than you and I can.
Yeah.
If you look at his roster
the
and then
beat's
look
got
at his bench,
solid
his
roster.
bench is stacked.
But why? Okay, listen, I understand that. But why Evan Ingram?
He doesn't like him. He doesn't. Oh, okay.
He doesn't like Kittle.
On that,
Hold on.
So on that,
Pause.
on that. So he called me and we were talking it out, and he was like, "I'm looking at either Hooper or Smith in Minnesota." I was like, "Don't get me wrong, man. Like, there's a lot of really good options right here." Cousins doesn't throw to his tight ends. Never has. Never fucking will.
To the
I would love for Irv Smith to be great. I would love for him to be, because he's young, big ass, fucking talented tight end at a high draft pick. He doesn't throw to them, so it doesn't matter. It's the same as Deshaun Watson. Listen, guys, when Deshaun Watson comes back, Njoku will have zero value. He never throws to his tight ends. He never has, right?
Well, that's if he completes a
Now-
pass.
Well, that's true too, right?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward a little bit in time. Doug Peterson goes down to Jacksonville. Doug Peterson will legitimately, religiously use tight ends. When Doug Peterson was the head coach with Philadelphia, both Ertz and Goddard, 10 to 12 targets a game.
Ertz always
Forced
used
it.
targets.
Do it. I don't care. Use them. His logic is, and I think it's pretty sound, right, is Doug Peterson's now the head coach in Jacksonville, and I got news for you, buddy. Who else you going to throw that fucking ball to? You got Etienne, who might work out, but it also could go right back to James Robinson. That's another bet. That's a bet.
Yeah.
You don't know that,
Yeah,
right?
that's a bad bet, and that's the thing that I like. People are talking about this Etienne, like, I'm gonna take a gamble.
Oh,
I'm
it's
like,
a huge
that
bet.
has
Robinson,
had better work out because, Jacksonville better hope that it works out because the alternative is Robinson, which is not
Yeah.
great. It's not sexy.
Well, it's not bad.
Through volume-
It doesn't work
no.
with their offense.
No.
Goes
Through
before.
volume, Robinson has value. Value through volume will wither quickly with injuries because guess
Will.
what? That fucking
That's
volume
fair.
goes away real fucking quick when they're not playing.
Will.
Especially
You got
if
a
they
point.
have someone that can fill in and they will just not play because they're injured, even if it's not like a preventative injury, like what what's his fucking name, Derrick Henry had, or like Chris McCaffrey
Yeah.
gets every year. They'll bench him because there's someone that can take their place.
I like how they made a
So-
huge deal of him getting off the injury list just recently.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh, he's
So,
good to go.
I
Oh,
got the
fuck
text.
yeah. Sorry.
I got
Didn't mean to
the
interrupt you.
tweet. That was
You're saying.
hilarious.
When we get to the portion where I talk about the stupid shit that I've been online,
I'll
that
send you a
remind me
message.
about that. How about you fucking don't? How about that?
Yeah, how about
We're in the middle of a show.
how
My-
interruptive?
My what? Sorry,
Fucking-
my what?
all right.
Like, I guess we're
Stupid
gonna
ass
tweet.
watch.
Anyway,
Anyway,
no, it's right up that alley. I feel you. Now, again, the reason why my lineup the way it is this year is that's my whole bet, right? I'm going to take C+, B- running backs and pair them with A+ receivers and hope it works out, right? That was my gamble this year, right? I would never advise someone to take Etienne in the first 3, 4, 5 rounds. I wouldn't. There are a lot of other players, but
he definitely
you're
is
right.
though. So
But
it's
he's going in second
unreal.
and third in all kinds of rounds where it's like, what the fuck?
I
are
think
you
that goes
doing?
back to our hype
That
fucking
chase- that's
That's
episode.
that hype,
Chase
man.
effect.
Media hype, dude.
The hype.
It's that
Oh,
chase
it's
effect.
It's that Chase and Waddle effect, man. Like, it just be like that sometimes, right? But like, it's so important to remember that, though, right? So all these dudes are gambles, and you don't know that. So when you start playing folks like, oh, I'm betting on Dameon Pierce. Listen, his offense is terrible. Yeah, I would love for Pierce to be, even if Pierce got 40 carries a game, he may be still valueless. Does that make sense? Right? Like, and that's what a lot of folks are talking about. He could go 40 carries for even like 100 yards. No touchdowns, no catches. It's a very average running back.
Yeah, there's
Very
a
not
lot of
even.
flop. Nothing. Not,
Like
yeah.
that's a rough.
Actually, that would be
flex start.
terrible. Honestly,
Yeah,
that would
that's
be rough.
that's
Yeah.
bad. And that's,
Right.
if that's in your RB1 and 2, you're gonna have a rough week. And if that's in your flex, you'll
You probably have a
probably
rough
still have a
season.
rough
You talk
week.
about a Hail Mary. That's a Hail Mary this week. That's against a Colts defense that's ready to rock and roll, right? Like, dog, good luck. I want him to succeed. But like,
Sure.
we talked about this before the season started, and everyone still did it anyway, and it's always going to happen. The Chase and Waddle effect, man, it just changed the way folks looked at rookies.
Absolutely.
It really did.
Like
Yeah.
it was like universal. It had a
Yeah.
universal effect.
Obviously,
Now,
all
everyone-
rookies are good. and
everyone-
it's like
Yeah, everyone thinks that the rookies that are
Drake London, the
Starting
next
to get-
Chase, calm the
Yeah.
fuck down.
Yeah,
He's got no one
whoa,
to throw him
yeah.
the ball.
not even,
You know what I mean?
Drake London, is he in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the dude that they said is the next AJ Brown. That dude's in Tennessee.
Yeah, it is. No, that's Traylon Burks. Yeah, you're right. Traylon Burks. Yeah. Oh yeah, he'll
Which is
replace
still
AJ Brown.
asinine.
Will he? AJ Brown's really good, but
yeah, I don't want to reiterate points I've made in the past.
Yeah, no.
I don't care
But
for rookies.
so before we get off on tangents, because I'm starting to get pissed about a couple of things I'm realizing. All right, so Ray, before we started the show, you talked about some of the asinine things you were seeing, and I kind of want to just on the backside. We'll head right to that. So what do you got? For us?
Sweet. So because you wanted to talk about panic button, right? And I think we hit everyone. The only thing I think we didn't talk about is I saw a lot of people stressing about Knox. Knox is a fucking tight end.
Yeah.
Calm your cock.
Welcome to the tight end world.
Yeah, the tight end
world.
The tight end position sucks dick. We bitched. Go back to the episode. We bitched about it. Like you should already have expected this. Clearly, they're not watching our show. If they were watching our show, they would have already fucking known. They're watching some dumbass fucking fantasy show that tells them. Clearly, if anyone thought that a tight end was going to be a fucking make or break fucking position, they're retarded. Any fantasy show that even talks about tight ends any other way than we talked about it is a fucking moron. It's a tight end position. They're supposed to only score 10 points. Dawson Knox's job last night was to open up a hole for the rush. We knew that at the end of the last season when he went 2 games with no fucking points. I lost my fantasy because of this. I'm a Bills fan, so I have to fucking cope with it because we dominated because of it. But if you
he's a real tight end.
He's a tight end that blocks, and then he does pass press release. So he's a relief in the pass.
He's the last dude leaving for a pass.
Yeah, last dude, with the exception of designed routes. They didn't run any designed routes from last night because they were worried about getting their running backs out there and making the passing plays received. Yeah, it
wasn't bad. It's
I don't know.
James Cook fucked it up.
Welcome to the NFL, man.
And I said that. I was like, he'd have held onto that ball if it was college. He's not used to getting hit that hard. He did not realize that he was about to lose. He did not know he was about to lose that ball. He thought he had it. And Zach Moss.
That shoulder pad was perfectly on the ball.
Yeah. Zach Moss should be cut. Duke Johnson needs to be brought from the practice squad.
Moss
I'm just going to throw that
good.
in there. No,
Moss
he looks like shit.
Good.
He was fucking ugly. I can't stand Zach Moss. And it's nothing personal. He's never going to see this, but if you do, it's not you. It's me. I like Duke Johnson a lot. You never did anything for me that I really liked, and I love watching Duke Johnson play. He's not going to. He doesn't get enough start time.
No,
and a motor is more affectionate towards me than fucking Zach Moss. But, so I just want to hit on that Dawson Knox. He's going to have a couple good weeks. If you're freaking about your tight end position, stop being retarded, calm your tits. Yeah. I think that's it. I think all the other burners that I saw people complaining about, context, people. Context. Why did Cam Akers do bad? This, and this reason. All right? Deal with it. Why did Allen Robinson suffer? This, and this reason. Deal with it.
Be specific. Analyze it.
Yeah, none of those 3 dudes had a bad game. None of them were dropping passes, tipping shit off,
fumbling balls.
None of those 3 dudes did that. It didn't happen. It's not entirely on them, if it is at all on them. So that was really irritating me. I'm just like, more than probably anything else, anyone that was like, oh, my tight end. You had one player start, and it was a tight end. And you think your week's over? Relax.
Yeah, where'd you start?
That drove me nuts. But just some of the fucking things I've seen. It's this one where it's like, they're like, well, if your buddy picked this, you're really smart if you pick this guy late. And it was like Cooper Kupp in the 3rd pick overall, me picking up Terry McLaurin in the 6th round. I'm like, yeah, dude, you're a fucking idiot. That's not comparable. You lost that. He's going to beat you when you play him. You didn't get the fucking sleeper pick of the season with fucking Scary Terry.
Oh my God, sleeper. If I hear that word, look.
That word, that's a slur now. That word is a slur now. That one, a big-bodied receiver, out. They're not allowed. They're not allowed on this podcast. I'm sick of hearing it. That's Drake London. I heard that all about in receiver. Yeah, big-body receiver. And it's funny because that's in our intro. Jim said that. And it might have even been about Drake London.
It was. It was.
But that was when we were talking about rookies. Like, he was talking about in an appropriate context, not in a context of Drake London is the best, is your secret pick.
No.
All these people stop talking about Chris McCaffrey. That's still a thing on YouTube, TikTok, all my video, like, social medias that I get football content from. People are still pretending Chris McCaffrey is a fucking steal. People are still pretending Saquon Barkley is a steal. All of our advice that we've given,
I hope so.
for the three of you that probably watch this show, it's still solid. Those dudes suck. And not suck in a talent level, but their injuries are going to limit their value.
Offenses.
If you have them, you drafted them too early. So, good luck fixing that fuck up, because I know he's in your RB1, and you're not going to find an RB1 to replace him, which is exactly why you shouldn't draft him, because there's not a replacement for when he gets injured. You can say I have Chuba Hubbard, but
because
Chuba Hubbard is not replacing Christian.
Lebby has McCaffrey and Kamara 1-2. And then it's like, we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, and if anything happens, dog, he could throw in any of those dudes on his bench. Now, granted, they probably won't do great off the bat because they're young and they're rookies or they're sophomore, whatever.
I got to look at Dylan's team. I don't know what you're talking about. But.
It is loaded.
Wow.
I don't know how he doesn't go at least 8 to 10 wins this year. It is stacked. So his logic was pretty sound. The thing I'm getting at it with is, like, if McCaffrey goes down for him, it doesn't derail his season at all. At all.
Sure.
He'll plug in the next guy up. Even like, let's say, so this week is probably a bad play, but let's say Dameon Pierce has Atlanta next week. I'll play that. I'll play Dameon Pierce in Atlanta. And if I got to do it to get by, to do what I can, and then in the meantime, he's got dudes that are healing, getting better. He's got Breece Hall. I don't know. Maybe Breece Hall starts to take some advantage of some stuff, right?
He's got DJ Moore and Mike Williams in his receiver core.
Receiver's not great.
His receiver's kind of questionable.
I think DJ Moore's going to have fantastic.
He has Evan Ingram. In my opinion, Evan Ingram, you might as well not start anyone.
I don't know.
He plays for Jacksonville.
I like where his head's at.
Ingram
I think it's something you should just wait and see.
But
he's no good.
But this is a good point.
Ingram
for this
wasn't
episode,
good
right?
when he had a good quarterback with him. Like, it's not going to.
When has he ever had a good quarterback?
He had fucking the Lil Manning. He was there when Eli was still there.
Eli was probably his very last year, who played like 6 games.
Yeah, which is when Evan was relevant. When did Eli retire?
Well, actually was, to be real.
I don't.
2019 was the year that Evan was the number one tight end, like one of the number one tight ends.
Yeah.
I think he might have even outperformed Mark Andrews a couple games.
Yeah, he was top 2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I did. It's not like I follow the fucking Giants, but
he was drafted in high rounds.
I'm pretty sure he was pretty dominant. So
yeah.
And I saw him drafted high. I think that he's done miserable ever since. I don't recommend everything.
Well, okay, so but follow
yes,
up.
J.K.
Like,
Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is a.
he's got a
word
heel.
I'm looking for.
He's got a heel.
That dude is a fucking flop.
You haven't seen him. J.K. Dobbins is a first round draft pick. Yeah,
their backfield is dog shit.
Well, here's my point. If it's not Dobbins,
Baltimore doesn't know.
So Kenyon Drake's there now, which I don't hate.
Mike Davis is also there.
Mike Davis is trash.
Mike Davis isn't trash.
Davis is trash.
He's not. And neither is Mark Ingram. They just don't know how to use their backfield, which is what I was getting to. Lamar is their running back. Baltimore doesn't know how to run a backfield. You know how I know? Because Buffalo also doesn't know how to run a backfield. And they run them the exact fucking same.
I see it every week.
All right,
so
he does have D Swift. You know what? All right. It's looking a little bit better. He has Breece Hall. Rashad Bateman's not that great.
Hold on.
Rashad Bateman, sleep on. Kenneth Walker maybe will pan out. Dameon Pierce probably isn't going to be as good as everyone's hyping him to. And Hines starts behind JT. I don't like his bench. I don't like anyone on his bench. Not his starters.
Well, I don't like Carr, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I don't because I don't like to. I don't like to carry back a quarterback. I'm doing it this.
I don't
year
either
because I'm trying to take a shot and see. I'll get into that later. But what I want to get at though is like you have to understand where your team is at from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, right? Understand your capital. So like, let's say something happens to CMC at early season, you might take a bet and get someone that could hold the line for you with some of that young talent. He can afford that. I can't.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
I'm saying players are going to take the bait. Players are going to take the bait.
What is kind of misleading about you saying that he has the depth to recover is he doesn't really, in my opinion, but what he does have is DeAndre Swift in his flex, which means he has 3 starters right now.
He has 3
so
RB1s.
If McCaffrey goes out, he still has 2 starters in his RB1, and then he can throw someone in the flex. So he does have 1 cushion, in my opinion. I think having 3
Bateman
rookies
and Tony are better than you think.
3 rookies, and you're telling me that that's not risky, bro?
Statistically, 1 should do well.
Yeah, 1 in the NFL, not 1 on his team.
That's what I'm getting
Kenneth Walker,
like,
Breece Hall, and Damian Pierce is technically
Kenneth
a
Walker's
starter.
an animal. Just give him a second to heal. He's an animal. He's going
He
to do
has to
great.
get snaps. It doesn't matter how
Well, he's
good you
gotta
are if
heal-
you don't
well,
touch
well,
the
he had-
ball. There are a lot of good running
He's got a
backs that
hernia.
don't touch
It's
the
gonna be a
ball.
minute.
Yeah, Akers.
Well, Akers.
Yes.
Akers,
Thanks,
Uh,
Brian.
Speaking of the no,
Duke
Thanks,
Johnson,
Brian. Duke Johnson.
Tony Pollard. No,
Oh,
Hines
Wow.
is on his bench. Hines is not going to start. He's not. He's going to get a
No,
couple
uh,
grabs. He's going to
JT
get a couple cuts. He's not fantasy relevant
Okay,
until
okay,
JT
hold on.
stops
Before-
getting
before-
90% of snaps.
well, you're not going to.
You're so naive.
Start
You're
over,
so
JT.
fucking deluded.
do you
Give
think?
me a second.
I
Give me a
don't think
second.
JT's going to take all them snaps this season.
That's what I'm getting at. It's not the same offense, man. It's going to be a little
Did
bit
they change
different in
Dorsey?
design. Yes, because Eberflus is now the head coach of the Bears.
All right. Well, maybe then. Ken
Yeah.
Dorsey made a phenomenal change of pace for Buffalo, which I've been saying get rid of Dable
mean, it
for
was-
2 years
it was
now.
just-
So
Nothing Buffalo did was a
it was smoother. It
characteristic
was
of
way
Buffalo.
smoother.
I mean,
Diluted.
just let Josh Allen cook. Just let him do his thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
call it,
Rob
you know.
Dable wouldn't do. I
Well,
don't
that's
know how you're trying to refute me. Like Dable
I'm
tried
not
to cage
refuting
him.
that Dable was good. I'm just saying, like, I don't think Dorsey had to do too much. Because
Dorsey had
Allen's
to do
pretty
what
good.
was necessary. Yeah, which is why Dorsey is good. Dorsey was his QB coach, right? There literally
Well,
isn't
Dorsey-
anyone.
So
Nobody
Dorsey
knows
was
Josh Allen better than Ken Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey was drafted
Maybe
in
his
the
mom.
first
Josh
round
Allen.
in
Josh Allen didn't know Josh
2003
Allen.
Well, maybe
as
he's a bit of a
the
nerd.
Miami Hurricanes quarterback. He won a title with them against Ohio State in 2002. And I know Ken Dorsey
Wow.
because he was terrible in the NFL. He was
Oh, yeah,
awful.
those who can't
Grossman,
do-
Tim Tebow, him.
yeah. Those who can't
What a
do
li-
do
what a
what
lineup.
they teach. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't care that he
No, he's
didn't
good.
play well.
He's good.
He coaches well. Josh Allen has made it very clear that he likes Ken Dorsey, and he made it clear
Yeah,
before
that's
Dable was gone that he
Byron
wanted Dorsey to
Byron
replace him.
Leftwich, not a great quarterback. Awesome OC. Awesome.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so just to kind of wrap up, folks, I know we kind of got small things that we're ready for more football to happen and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
get some
Yeah.
more information, right?
Well, then.
Calm the fuck down,
Mhm.
relax.
It's gonna be okay.
And actually, you said something real quick. Just want to touch on Ray about the tight end thing. Like Higbee did precisely what you hired him to do. 8
Yeah.
points. That's it.
yeah.
He
Stop
literally did
looking
exactly
for
what I thought
20-point
he would.
tight end. Yeah,
Silly.
don't do 20-point
It's dumb.
tight ends, right? It's
And-
not going to happen, man.
Another thing that's crazy is Higbee could have had more points if he
Could have had a
wasn't a fucking
15-point
idiot.
game.
He
Yeah.
dropped like 3 fucking balls.
One, he was
Which-
like 30 yards downfield too. It was
Yeah,
like,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
he could have easily got another 3 receptions and another 3 points from
which
yardage.
would have been a great game. Would have
Yeah.
been a great game for him, right?
Great
So
game.
like,
Yeah, 12 points
but-
for a tight end is amazing.
but at the same
80,
time, like,
80 is the average
yeah,
for scoring tight ends anyway.
But what I'm highlighting is like it's the same logic that another one of the things that I like the way you look at it, and that is like it doesn't fucking matter what he does. A tight end's not going to make or break.
I
you
hate
week
the
two.
position. It shouldn't exist.
I hate it.
It's so irrelevant.
The top 8 dudes will do great, but what Ray's getting at, Brian, in particular, is the unpredictability of
Well, you're right,
how
yeah.
the tight end position, like Dawson Knox.
But
is a
isn't
great
the
example.
defense also very unpredictable?
I don't want the
Yes.
defense to be there either. What the
Yes.
fuck?
So how do you want? You
I
just want to just
actively
remove that
encourage-
from the game completely.
Well, no,
Yes.
no, you play
Bro,
them.
in
You
my
play them.
buy-in league, we don't have defenses. I cannot tell you the soothing
Really?
calm of looking at my roster and not seeing a fucking defense.
Well, that's the fucking point. All right.
It's
anyway,
amazing.
Anyway,
It's so great. It's the
but
best.
Brian,
I recommend it. I
what
recommend
we
it
did
highly.
is to fix it is we have a second flex. That's what
Yeah,
we
that
did to fix it.
offsets the
I
shitty
like-
tight end position a little bit.
I
and a little
what
bit of
we
the
got going on
defense,
with the
too.
Second flex.
You know, like
I think it also adds room for more players that, like towards the end, we can kind
More
of
value.
we like
Yes,
a
it
little
allows
more
you to bring
value.
in more people. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
crammed to only 3 positions, you can put receivers or 3 for running backs because it's 1 flex. That kind of sucks. You know, especially when you have dudes on your bench and you're like, I want to start them, I just don't have the room.
Yeah.
That second
Yeah.
flex is needed
It's been
to
it's
make the
been
game
really
more
good so far.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
So far, really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So don't panic. Don't go out and get 50 waivers. Calm
Yeah.
down. That's another
Yeah.
thing. You're
Yeah,
gonna see
keep your
dudes,
waivers limited. You will burn yourself with those waivers.
Do
I
not
almost lost
cut
my.
dudes.
I got beat. Singletary fucked me at the end of last season, because he had his best game of the entire season
Yeah.
against me in my
Yeah.
my championship. Had he not done that though, I would have won, and I almost got burnt anyways because of a waiver issue. And it was because I was having to make a lot of moves. So try to limit yourself on waivers. And if you follow sports things on YouTube and TikTok, fucking stop. Like
Stop.
listen to like
Stop.
hype videos from your team. That's fine. I watched a ton of stuff on the Bills today. don't take fantasy advice from dudes on TikTok and YouTube idiots. I've seen a couple guys that are grounded like us, like they're very critical. They're not flowery like most of the stuff,
Right.
but it's like 1 in 1,000 that I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
So on that one
don't
last
trust
thing,
that
this
advice.
is bothering me too. On that, like, understand too what quarterbacks do. Right, I've said it
Sure.
a couple times in the show, but another thing is like, there's a lot of hype on Aquinabom, the tight end for Denver. Can anyone ever name me a tight end Russell Wilson played well with? Ever?
No,
It's always been like
It's always been
does
DK.
not use
DK
the tight
Lockett.
end.
Yeah.
Don't go out there and buy the hype. Well, he's in Denver now. That's not going to change who he is.
yeah.
it's not
Right.
changing him. Certainly, it is changing the play caller though.
Well,
Like
that's true.
design plays. So, and there's a ton of players that could almost be that should have been a part of another episode, but
We'll
just
get
with
in
some of the movements,
Yeah.
like we were talking about Baker, that came up, and I forgot to
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
it.
Yeah, this is a hype video. It's
Because
just
Yeah.
Brissett,
poison.
Brissett.
Brisket.
So we were
Brisket?
talking about Brisket, and you were talking about his tight ends in Miami, and like maybe how
Gesicki
that's
did.
going to affect the run in Cleveland. But the thing is the Cleveland has made it very clear that they're run heavy. I
We're
don't
a
think
running
that's going to
team.
change with their quarterback.
Yes.
So I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, depending on the plays they call, are still valid.
I think Njoku will do well too.
The tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tight
That's
end.
it.
Yeah, the
maybe.
$50
We'll
million
I
tight
think
end.
if
Yeah, they
Brissett-
just
if
signed him for a
if
big contract.
Brissett is intelligent, he would use whoever's open, which
Sure.
will, if it's fucking Njoku, then it needs to be him.
Well, it's him and Amari Cooper. I don't know who else is there. So, yeah, but
Right.
anyway, so don't panic. Don't bomb out on waivers. Don't pick up whole new fucking benches of waivers. Calm down. And then you also, the last thing I'll say too, you'll see it every year, is sensational waivers. They will fade. They will fade. So
Yep.
you'll see a dude sometime this weekend go for 30 points and he will never get close again. Don't go straight to it. It's like, oh, well, he did great. Is he the start? Is he the starter? No, don't do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't do it because he won't do it again. All right. It happens every year. So don't do it. Watch out for the waivers. Watch out for hype videos, including, I guess, ours at this point, right? But yeah,
I'm
so
part of that.
it's a lot of experience here, guys. That's trying to like make sure you limit the damage early season
Right.
because you're going to let go of people
Oh, yeah.
who will develop. Relax.
Yes, they'll
So-
develop as well. Let's
Like
say they
Jones.
don't. Let's say Akers is a flop, which he's
Yeah,
not.
let's say it.
Almost definitely. But let's
Yeah,
say that
there's
for
no way.
whatever reason they cut him tomorrow, right? And you're
Mm.
like, fuck, that was my RB1. Don't know why he's your RB1. You should have fucking known better. But
Tim Dickens.
let's say I've seen it. I've seen a ton of people with Akers as
Yes,
their
no,
RB1.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
You deserve that a little bit because you shouldn't be your RB1. Not with the strength of Henderson.
He was
right
a flex
behind
for
him.
me. I just want to
Yeah,
point out
it
he was
should
flex.
be a flex. Henderson is too good for you to be starting Cam Akers, not with an
Yeah,
Achilles injury. Don't freak out. Like, okay, your season is not over because Cam Akers flopped. People, there are going to be, I would say, at least 10 people that are gonna shine and are like going unnoticed right now, and not sleepers. It's just people that like are kind of like someone's gonna drop someone that's really good because they need to fill a position.
Yep.
Or like Hunter Renfrow for me last
Kittle
year.
for Ingram.
It was just somebody I didn't know about. They weren't a sleeper. They were good the whole time. I never noticed them. Stuff like that is going to happen. No season is set before the first game, so which is why your
yeah.
draft is not all important, all ending. Your season's not over off your draft, which
Nope.
means the first game, if you have one bolo, your season is not over. Your week isn't even over yet. So just
And just
Relax.
to cap off too, like we say it a million times about the Chase and Waddle effect. I will remind people that in 10 and 12 team leagues, Chase and Waddle weren't even drafted. They weren't even
Yeah,
on
it depends,
rosters
yeah.
in the vast majority of leagues, right? So like, don't sit there and say, "Oh, well, it's predictable." It's definitely not. Definitely not. It'll be someone every year, but it won't be the guy you're picking because it doesn't work like that. It takes time, right? So Jazzy Jeff didn't even have a starting position, and now he's the second best, if not the best, receiver in the NFL, or approximately, right? But just proves,
Yeah.
right? Just let the season develop and relax. I think it's all we got. I will say it a million times, and people are still going to fuck it up. They're still going to
Yeah.
fuck it up.
yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're not
They're
watching the
gonna
show.
see
That's the problem.
They're going to.
If you guys are watching the show,
Yeah.
yeah, watch the show. I know if you're
Yep.
seeing this,
Well,
you're watching the show. Tell other people. No, shut the fuck up. We're not doing that gay shit. If you do watch this, please tell people because I'm sick of seeing
Yep.
these dumbass fucking videos.
button.
Shut the fuck up. That's some shit Derek would say.
That's
Derek
right.
isn't
Yeah,
supposed to
that's
be here this week.
He'll be back next week with us. But that's all we
Hopefully, yeah.
have, folks. Thank you guys so much. Anything else for the betterment of fantasy football?
No, I've ranted enough today, I think.
Yeah, it was, we had a good one. We got out there.
All right, guys. We'll catch y'all next week. Thank you.
Bye.